The stars around New Geneva looked peaceful that morning. The colony world spun slowly in space, its blue oceans and green continents reminding the settlers of their distant home. 3 million humans lived on this world now, building farms and cities under alien suns. They had been here for 15 years, and it felt like home. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, drinking her morning coffee and watching the sunrise over New Geneva's largest continent. The view never got old. She had fought in the Titan War and the Belt conflicts, but this quiet patrol duty felt good. Peace was better than war, even if some of her crew got restless. Captain called Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station. "I'm getting readings at the edge of the system. Multiple contacts. Big ones." Sarah sat down her coffee cup. "How many?" 43 ships, ma'am. They just came out of hyperspace near the outer planets." The bridge went quiet. 43 ships was not a trading fleet or a diplomatic mission. Sarah had commanded fleets before, and she knew what those numbers meant. "Are they broadcasting anything?" "Yes, ma'am. They're asking us to identify ourselves." Sarah looked at the tactical display. The unknown ships were moving toward them in a perfect formation. Their design showed up on the screens as sleek and beautiful, like crystal spears flying through space. She had never seen ships like these before. "Open a channel," Sarah ordered. "Unknown fleet. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Navy ship Defiant. You are entering human space. Please state your purpose." The response came quickly. The voice was strange with clicking sounds mixed with words. "Human vessel, I am Admiral Kexon of the Zafarian hegemony. We claim this system in the name of our empire. Your species has spread too far into our territory." Sarah felt her stomach drop. The Zafarian hegemony was known to the human government, but they had never made contact before. Intelligence reports said they controlled dozens of star systems and had technology far beyond what humans possessed. "Admiral Kexton, this system was legally colonized by humanity under the Galactic Settlement Accords. We have been here for 15 years. The alien admiral made a sound like laughter. "Your primitive laws mean nothing to us, human. We are the hegemony. We take what we want, and we want the system." Sarah looked at her tactical officer. "How many ships do we have in the system?" 12, ma'am. Plus the orbital defense platforms around New Geneva. 12 ships against 43. The math was not good. Sarah had seen the intelligence reports on Zafarian technology. Their ships were faster, their weapons were stronger, and their shields could stop anything humans had ever built. "Admiral," Sarah said into the communicator, "surely we can discuss this. There's room in the galaxy for all of us." "Discussion." The alien's voice carried that clicking laughter again. "Look at your ships, human. They are boxes of metal floating in space. Our children pilot better vessels in their training exercises." Sarah looked at her own ship on the external cameras. The Defiant was not pretty. It looked like what it was, a warship built by humans who cared more about function than beauty. Its hull was thick armor plating. Its weapons were simple but reliable. Next to the graceful Zafarian vessels, it looked crude and primitive. "Your weapons are projectiles thrown by magnetic rails," Admiral Kexton continued. "Your shields are basic energy fields. Your engines burn fusion like savages burning wood. We have studied your technology, and it is centuries behind our own." Other human captains were speaking on the fleet channel now. Captain Rodriguez of the UES Mumbai sounded worried. "Sarah, we're outgunned here. Maybe we should consider evacuation." Captain Williams of the UES Yorktown disagreed. "We can't just abandon 3 million people. There has to be a way." Sarah made her decision. "All ships maintain position." "Admiral Kexton, I need time to consult with my superiors." "You have one of your hours," the alien replied. "Then we will demonstrate why resistance is futile." The channel closed. Sarah turned to her crew. "Get me a secure line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha." The wait felt like forever. Finally, Admiral Hassan appeared on the screen. He was an old man, with gray hair and tired eyes. But Sarah had never seen him look this serious. "Sarah, we've been monitoring the situation. How bad is it?" 12 ships against 43, sir. Their technology is superior in every way we can measure." Admiral Hassan nodded slowly. "Understood, Sarah. I'm authorizing Emergency Protocol 7. Do you understand what that means?" Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. Emergency Protocol 7 was something she had heard whispered about in the highest levels of command. "Sir, are you certain?" "Captain, defend that colony with everything you have. Buy as much time as possible, help is coming." The transmission ended. Sarah stared at the blank screen. Emergency Protocol 7 meant Earth was sending something. But what could possibly make a difference against odds like these? "Captain," Lieutenant Torres called out. "The Zephyrin fleet is moving. They're closing on our position." Sarah looked at the tactical display. The beautiful alien ships were approaching in a perfect formation. They moved like dancers, each ship in perfect harmony with the others. It was both beautiful and terrifying. "All ships, battle stations," Sarah commanded. "This is Captain Chin to all vessels. We stand between the enemy and 3 million human lives. Whatever happens, we make them pay for every meter of space." The responses came back from her captains. Fear mixed with determination in their voices, but no one suggested retreat. Admiral Kexthan's voice filled the bridge again. "Human fleet, your time is up. Surrender now, and we may allow your people to live as workers in our mines." Sarah thought about the children playing in the parks of New Geneva. She thought about the farmers planting crops that would feed families for generations. She thought about the teachers and doctors and engineers building a new world far from Earth. "Admiral Sexton, I have consulted with my superiors. Our answer is no." Silence stretched across space. Then the alien admiral spoke again, and his voice was colder now. "Then you will die for nothing, human. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. Your crude armor cannot stop our weapons. We are the Zephyrian hegemony, and we are eternal." "Maybe," Sarah replied. "But we're human, and we don't quit." The first Zephyrian ship opened fire. A beam of pure plasma lanced across space, striking the UES Berlin. The human ship's shields flared and held, but barely. The Berlin's captain reported damage to 3 decks and a fire in the engine room. Sarah gave the order she had been dreading. "All ships weapons free. Engage the enemy." The human fleet opened fire with everything they had. Magnetic rails launched projectiles the size of cars at incredible speeds. Missiles streaked through space. Their guidance systems locked onto alien targets. Energy weapons added their own light to the battle. Most of the attacks missed or bounced harmlessly off her shields, but some got through. The UES Stockholm scored a direct hit on an alien cruiser, punching a hole through its beautiful hull. Atmosphere and debris spilled into space. Admiral Kextan sounded surprised. "Impossible. Their crude weapons should not be able to penetrate our shields." But Sarah noticed something. The human ships were not just fighting. They were scanning everything. Every weapon discharge, every shield impact, every maneuver was being recorded and analyzed. The AI systems aboard human ships were learning at an incredible rate. The Zepyrans pressed their attack. Their ships moved like schools of fish, covering each other and striking with coordinated precision. Plasma beams carved through space, and more human ships took damage. The UES Nairobi lost its main gun. The UES Cairo reported hull breaches on 4 decks. The US Delhi was barely holding together, its captain requesting permission to ram the nearest enemy ship. "Negative, Delhi. Stay in formation. We're not done yet." Sarah watched as her tactical officer fed new targeting data to the other ships. The human AI systems were starting to predict Zephyrin movements. Shield frequencies were being analyzed. Weapon patterns were becoming clear. When the UES London managed to destroy a second alien ship with a precisely aimed salvo, the laughter from the Zepyrinian fleet stopped. "Enough games," Admiral Kexathan announced. "Destroy them all. Show no mercy." The alien attack intensified. Beautiful ships became instruments of death, their weapons carving through space with deadly accuracy. The UES Berlin exploded in a ball of fire. The UES Johannesburg split in half, its crew lost to the void. Sarah felt each loss like a physical blow. These were not just ships, but friends and comrades who had trusted her to lead them. "All ships fighting retreat to the asteroid belt," she ordered. "Stay together and keep scanning. Every second of data might save lives down there." As the human fleet fell back toward the inner system, Sarah sent one final message to Admiral Hassan on Earth. Protocol 7 confirmed, beginning delaying action. God help us all. The beautiful alien ships followed them through the darkness, their weapons lighting up space like deadly stars. Behind them, New Geneva continued to spin peacefully in space, unaware that the fate of 3 million souls hung in the balance of a battle between 12 human ships and an alien armada that had never known defeat, looked at her crew working desperately at their stations. They were scared, but they were not giving up. That was humanity's greatest strength. They never knew when to quit. The aliens were about to learn what that really meant. The asteroid belt around New Geneva's star was full of rocks and ice, some as big as cities. Sarah had fought in asteroid fields before during the belt conflicts. The rocks could hide ships and confuse sensors, but they could also trap you if you weren't careful. The human fleet moved between the larger asteroids, using them as cover. 10 ships remained after the first exchange of fire. The UES Berlin and UES Johannesburg were gone, taking brave crews with them into the dark. "Enemy fleet is following us in," reported Lieutenant Torres. "They're maintaining formation," Sarah nodded. The Zephyrin ships moved like they owned the space around them. They didn't seem worried about the asteroids or the confined space. Their ships were smaller and more agile than the human vessels. "Captain Williams, how's your ship holding up?" Sarah asked over the fleet channel. "We've got hull breaches on 3 decks, but we're still in the fight," came the reply from the UES Yorktown. "My gun crews are ready." Captain Rodriguez of the UES Mumbai sounded less confident. "My main engines are damaged. I can maneuver, but not quickly. If they focus fire on me, they won't get the chance," Sarah promised, though she wasn't sure how she could keep that promise. "All ships, prepare for coordinated attack. Target the lead cruiser." The Zephyrian fleet spread out as they entered the asteroid field. Their ships moved with perfect grace, sliding between rocks that would have crushed human vessels. Admiral Kexton's voice came over the communications. "Hiding among rocks, humans. This will only delay your death." "Maybe," Sarah replied. "But every minute we delay is another minute for our people to live." The alien admiral made that clicking sound again. "Your people will serve the hegemony soon enough, as will the rest of your pathetic species." Sarah felt anger rise in her chest. "We'll see about that." The first alien ship rounded a large asteroid and came into range. Sarah gave the order, and 5 human ships opened fire at once. Magnetic rails sent projectiles screaming through space. Missiles locked onto their target and accelerated to incredible speeds. The Zephyrin cruiser shields flared as the attacks hit. Most of the projectiles bounced off harmlessly, but the concentrated fire from 5 ships was more than its defenses could handle. 2 railgun rounds punched through, tearing holes in the beautiful hull. The alien ship spun out of control, atmosphere and debris trailing behind it. Secondary explosions lit up its interior before it went dark and dead. "Target destroyed," reported the tactical officer with satisfaction. But the victory came with a price. The other Zephyrian ships had used the distraction to surround the human fleet. Plasma beams lanced out from multiple directions, and the UES Stockholm took a direct hit to its engine room. Captain Peterson's voice crackled over the comm. "This is Stockholm. We've lost main power. Engines are dead. We're drifting." 3 alien ships immediately focused their fire on the crippled vessel. Captain Peterson's ship disappeared in a ball of white-hot plasma. "Stockholm is gone," Torres reported, his voice tight with emotion. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. Another friend lost, another crew that would never see home again. When she opened her eyes, her voice was steady. "All ships continue evasive maneuvers. Make every shot count." The battle moved deeper into the asteroid field. Human ships darted between rocks, using the cover to avoid alien weapons. But the Zephyrian vessels were faster and more maneuverable. They could follow the humans anywhere. The UES Cairo tried to use a large asteroid as cover, but 2 alien ships came at it from different angles. Captain Martinez fought bravely, his ship's guns firing until the last second. But the Cairo was outgunned and overwhelmed. It broke apart under concentrated plasma fire, its pieces scattered among the asteroids. 8 ships remaining, Torres reported. Sarah looked at the tactical display. The aliens had lost 2 ships, but they still had 41. The math was getting worse by the minute. Admiral Kexthane's voice filled the bridge again. "You fight well for primitives. I will give you that. But you cannot win. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." "Counteroffer," Sarah replied. "Go back where you came from, and we won't have to embarrass you further." The alien admiral's response was a concentrated attack on the UES Mumbai. Captain Rodriguez's damaged ship couldn't maneuver fast enough to avoid the plasma beams. His last transmission was simple: "Tell my family I did my duty." The Mumbai exploded in silence, its light briefly illuminating the surrounding asteroids. 7 ships, Torres whispered. Sarah felt the weight of command pressing down on her. Every decision cost lives. Every minute brought them closer to defeat. But she noticed something on the sensor displays that gave her hope. "Lieutenant, show me the scanning data from the last engagement." Torres brought up the information on the main screen. The human AI systems had been analyzing every aspect of the alien ships during the fighting. Shield frequencies, weapon patterns, structural weak points. All of it was being recorded and processed. "Ma'am, we're learning their tactics. The AI is predicting their movements with 70% accuracy now. And their weapons, we've identified the plasma frequency. If we can modify our shield, do it. Send the modifications to all ships." While the fleet's engineers worked frantically to adapt their defenses, the battle continued. The UES Nairobi managed to damage another alien ship, its modified targeting system finding a gap in the enemy shields. But the Zephyrians adapted quickly too, changing their formation to protect their damaged vessel. The UES Delhi wasn't so lucky. Caught between 2 alien ships in a narrow canyon between asteroids, Captain Singh's vessel was overwhelmed by crossfire. It crashed into an asteroid, its hull cracking like an egg. 6 ships remaining. Torres reported Sarah was running out of options and running out of time. The aliens were being more careful now, but they were still pressing the attack. Soon they would force the human fleet out of the asteroid field, and then it would be a slaughter in open space. "All ships, fall back to position Delta 7, she ordered. "Prepare for final stand." The remaining human ships gathered around a cluster of large asteroids near the inner edge of the belt. It was good defensive ground, but it was also a trap. Once the aliens surrounded them here, there would be nowhere left to run. Captain Williams of the Yorktown sounded tired over the comm. "Sarah, maybe it's time to consider evacuation of the planet. We could hold them here while the transport's negative," Sarah replied firmly. "We can't evacuate 3 million people fast enough. And where would they go? This is their home." The alien fleet approached the human position carefully now. They had learned to respect human weapons, even if they still considered the technology primitive. Admiral Kexton's voice carried a note of respect mixed with his usual arrogance. "You have fought bravely, humans. Your species shows more courage than we expected. But courage is not enough against superior technology." Sarah looked around her bridge. Her crew was exhausted, but still working. Lieutenant Torres was coordinating with the other ships. The tactical officer was analyzing enemy movements. The engineering officer was trying to squeeze more power from the damaged systems. These people trusted her to lead them. The 3 million civilians on New Geneva trusted her to protect them. The families back on Earth trusted her to uphold humanity's honor among the stars. "Admiral Kexton," she said into the communicator, "you're right about one thing. Courage isn't enough, but humans have more than courage. We have something you don't understand. And what is that? Primitive?" Sarah looked at the tactical display one more time. The alien ships were moving into position for a final attack. Soon it would be over one way or another. "We have hope," she said, "and we never give up." The alien admiral's laughter clicked across the communication channel. "Hope will not stop plasma fire, human. Your pathetic fleet will burn, your colony will fall, and your species will learn its place in our empire." "Maybe," Sarah replied, "but we're going to make you work for it." She opened the emergency channel to all human ships. "All vessels. This is Captain Chen. Prepare for Emergency Protocol 7 authorization. When I give the signal, concentrate all fire on the enemy flagship." The responses came back quickly. Her captains understood what she was asking. It would probably be their last attack, but they would make it count. Admiral Kexton was still talking. "When we finish with your fleet, we will broadcast your defeat across human space. Other colonies will surrender, rather than face the same fate." "You talk too much," Sarah said. "Torres, is everything ready?" "Yes, ma'am. All ships are in position." Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment. Win or lose, live or die, this would determine the fate of everyone on New Geneva. "All ships," she said clearly. "Emergency Protocol 7, authorization, Asibu Wit." 77 Alpha execute. The 6 remaining human ships opened fire with everything they had. Every weapon, every missile, every ounce of power was directed at Admiral Sexathon's flagship. The concentrated barrage lit up space like a miniature star. The alien vessel's shields held for a moment, then collapsed under the overwhelming firepower. Railgun rounds punched through its hull. Missiles exploded against its superstructure. The beautiful ship that had seemed so invincible cracked open like a flower. Admiral Kexton's last transmission was filled with disbelief. Impossible. Our ship was the finest in the fleet. How could your primitive weapons? His voice cut off as his ship exploded, sending debris spinning through the asteroid field. But the victory was costly. The other Zephyrian ships immediately focused their fire on the human fleet. The UES Sydney and US Lagos were destroyed in seconds, their brave crews dying with weapons still firing. Only 3 human ships remained: the Defiant, the Yorktown, and the badly damaged Nairobi. The new Zephyrian commander, Admiral Vexar, was not as talkative as his predecessor. His first order was simple and direct: kill them all. 40 Zephyrian ships moved in for the final attack. Sarah looked at her crew one last time. They had done their duty. They had bought time and gathered intelligence. Whatever happened next, they had given humanity everything they could. All ships, she said quietly. It has been an honor. The alien weapons charged for the killing blow. Plasma beams prepared to end the last resistance in the new Geneva system. Then, every alarm on every ship began screaming at once. Captain Torres shouted, his voice filled with amazement. Massive energy reading at the edge of the system. Something big is coming through hyperspace. Sarah looked at the tactical display as space itself seemed to tear open. A hole in reality appeared, crackling with energy that hurt to look at directly. And from that hole came something that made even the Zephyrian fleet look small and fragile. "Dear God," whispered Captain Williams over the fleet channel. "What is that thing?" Sarah smiled for the first time in hours. Emergency Protocol 7 hadn't been a last desperate attack. It had been a signal. Help had arrived. The thing that came through the tear in space was enormous. It was dark against the stars, its hull so black it seemed to absorb light itself. But what made Sarah's heart pound was not just its size. It was the familiar lines of human construction, built on a scale she had never imagined possible. "Torres, are you reading this correctly?" she asked, not quite believing the numbers on her screen. "Yes, ma'am. 15 kilometers long. Mass readings are off the charts. It's definitely human construction, but I've never seen anything like it." The massive vessel moved with surprising grace for something so large. It positioned itself between the human fleet and the Zaharian ships, its bulk casting shadows across the asteroid field. A new voice came over the communication channel, calm and professional. "This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the UA's Terra Invicta. Captain Chen, you and your crews have done exceptional work. We'll take it from here." Sarah felt a mix of relief and confusion. "Commander Vasquez, I've never heard of the Terra Invicta. Where did you come from?" "That's classified, Captain. For now, please withdraw your ships to safe distance. Things are about to get loud out here." The Zephyrian fleet was reacting to the new arrival with confusion and growing alarm. Admiral Vexar, the commander who had replaced Kexton, was demanding answers from his sensor officers. "What is that monstrosity? How did our intelligence miss a ship of this size?" His tactical officer's voice was nervous. "Sir, it doesn't match any known human vessel class. Our intelligence indicated that their largest ships were destroyer class at most." Admiral Vexar studied the readings from his bridge. The human ship was massive, but it was still just one ship against his 40 remaining vessels. His predecessor had been careless and overconfident. He would not make the same mistake. All ships, maintain formation. Concentrate fire on the large vessel. Its size makes it an easy target. Sarah heard the transmission and opened a channel to the Terra Invicta. "Commander, they're planning to focus all their firepower on you." Elena Vasquez's response was almost casual. "I appreciate the warning, Captain, but we expected that. The Terra Invicta was built for exactly this kind of fight." The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with everything they had. 40 ships unleashed their plasma weapons at once, creating a light show that could be seen from the surface of New Geneva. The concentrated firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. The beam struck the Terra Invicta's hull, and nothing happened. The massive human ship absorbed the attack without even slowing down. Its shields held perfectly, showing no sign of strain or damage. The alien weapons that had easily carved through the human patrol fleet barely scorched the giant vessel's armor. "Impossible," Admiral Vexar whispered. "Nothing could withstand that much firepower." Commander Vasquez responded over the open channel, her voice carrying a note of satisfaction. "Admir, you've been fighting our patrol ships designed for reconnaissance and light combat. The Terra Invicta was built for war." The massive ship's weapons began to activate. Gunports opened along its hull, revealing weapons that dwarfed anything on the smaller human vessels. Missile tubes as large as subway tunnels prepared to fire. Energy weapons that looked like they could crack planets began to charge. "Admiral Vexar," Commander Vasquez continued, "you had the chance to leave peacefully. You chose to murder our people instead. Now you get to see what humanity builds when we stop playing nice." The first salvo from the Terra Invicta was devastating. Railgun rounds the size of small buildings screamed across space at incredible velocities. Each projectile carried more kinetic energy than the entire broadside of a normal human ship. The Zafirian fleet tried to evade, but their beautiful, graceful ship suddenly looked slow and clumsy compared to the incoming fire. 3 alien vessels simply ceased to exist as the massive rounds passed through them, their hulls vaporized by the impact. "Evasive maneuvers," Admiral Vextar screamed. "All ships scatter formation." But the Terra Invicta's weapons were guided by artificial intelligence systems that could track hundreds of targets simultaneously. The ship's missiles launched in swarms, each one smart enough to think for itself and coordinate with its companions. Sarah watched in amazement as the alien fleet, which had seemed so invincible just minutes before, began to fall apart under the human ship's assault. The elegant Zepyrian vessels were no match for weapons built by a species that had learned warfare in the harsh environment of their own solar system. "Captain Chen," Commander Vasquez said over a private channel, "you might want to move your ships further back. We're about to demonstrate why this vessel is called Terra Invicta." Sarah ordered her 3 remaining ships to retreat to the edge of the asteroid field. From there, they had a perfect view of what happened next. The Terra Invicta stopped holding back. The massive ship's hull seemed to come alive with weapons. Gun batteries that had been hidden beneath armored plates emerged and began firing. The vessel bristled with so many weapons that it looked like a metal porcupine made of death. Energy weapons carved through space, their beams accurate enough to target specific sections of enemy ships. Railguns fired continuously, their magnetic rails creating a constant stream of projectiles. Missile pods emptied their contents in coordinated volleys that overwhelmed alien defenses. But the most terrifying thing was not the power of the weapons. It was their precision. Every shot was calculated for maximum effect. The Terra Invicta's artificial intelligence systems had analyzed the Zephyrian ships during the earlier battle and identified their weaknesses. Plasma conduits were severed by precisely placed railgun rounds. Shield generators were destroyed by missiles that seemed to know exactly where to strike. Command bridges were targeted by energy beams that cut through hull plating like it was paper. Admiral Vexar's ship, a magnificent dreadnought that had conquered a dozen star systems, found itself surrounded by explosions as the human vessel's weapons found their marks. His shields collapsed under the relentless assault, and his beautiful ship began to break apart. "All ships, retreat," he ordered desperately. "Fall back to hyperspace jump distance." But the Terra Invicta was not finished. As the Zephyrian ships tried to flee, the human vessel deployed something that Sarah had only heard whispered about in the highest levels of military command: gravity weapons. Space itself seemed to twist around the fleeing alien ships. Artificial gravity fields grabbed them like invisible hands, holding them in place while the Terra Invicta's guns continued their deadly work. One by one, the ships that had seemed so powerful and graceful were reduced to debris floating in space. The Zepyrian fleet that had entered the system with such arrogance was being systematically destroyed by a single human vessel. Admiral Vexar made one last desperate attempt to save his forces. "Unknown human ship, we surrender. Please, we yield to your superior firepower." Commander Vasquez's response was cold and final. "Admiral, You had the chance to surrender before you started killing our people. You chose to laugh at our primitive technology instead. Now you get to learn why humans don't build pretty ships. The last of the alien vessels disappeared in balls of fire and plasma. The mighty Zeparian fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds and considered itself invincible, was gone. Only debris and radiation remained, where 43 warships had been just minutes before. The Terra Invicta powered down its weapons and turned toward the 3 surviving human ships. Sarah found herself staring at the massive vessel, trying to understand what she had just witnessed. "Captain Chen," Commander Vasquez said over the communication channel, "please prepare a full report on the battle. Command will want to know every detail of the Zephyrin capabilities." "Commander, I have to ask, where did this ship come from? I've never heard of anything like it in the human fleet." There was a pause before Vasquez replied, "Captain, there are things about our military capabilities that most people don't know. The Terra Invicta and ships like her are humanity's insurance policy. We hope we never have to use them, but when we do," Sarah looked at the debris field that had been an alien armada. "When you do, you make sure the lesson is remembered." "Exactly, Captain. You and your crew showed incredible courage today. You bought us the time we needed to get here, and you gathered intelligence that helped us target their weaknesses. Without your sacrifice, this victory would not have been possible." Era thought about the ships and crews they had lost. The Berlin, the Johannesburg, the Stockholm, the Cairo, the Mumbai, the Delhi, the Sydney, and the Logos. Good ships crewed by brave people who had died far from home. "Commander, what do we tell the families? What do we tell the galaxy?" "We tell them the truth, Captain. We tell them that humanity tried to live in peace, but when that peace was threatened, we showed why our species survived and thrived in one of the most dangerous regions of our galaxy." As if to emphasize the point, the Terra Invicta's sensors detected something at the edge of the system. More ships were approaching. Not Zephyrian this time, but vessels from a dozen different species. Word of the battle was already spreading. Captain Torres called from his station. "We're receiving communications from multiple sources. New ships, diplomatic vessels, even some military scouts. Everyone wants to know what happened here." Sarah smiled grimly. The galaxy had seen the Zeparian hegemony as an unstoppable force. Today, they had learned that there were things in the universe more dangerous than alien empires with superior technology. They had learned that humans, when pushed to their limit, would push back with everything they had. "Commander Vasquez, what happens now?" "Now, Captain, we clean up this mess and send a message to anyone else who might be thinking about testing humanity's resolve. The Terra Invicta was built in secret, but after today, the galaxy will know we have ships like her." The massive vessel began to move toward the hyperspace jump point, its mission completed. But before it left, Commander Vasquez sent one final transmission on all frequencies, ensuring that every ship in the system would hear it. "This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Navy vessel Terra Invicta, broadcasting to all ships in this system and beyond. Today, the Zeparian hegemony learned that humanity does not reveal its full capabilities until forced to do so. We wanted peace. They chose war. Remember this day, remember this system, and remember that we built ships like the Terra Invicta, not because we are warlike, but because the universe doesn't always give peaceful species a choice. Humanity stands ready to defend itself and its allies. Test us again at your own peril." The message was recorded and transmitted across the galaxy within hours. On 1,000 worlds, alien governments received the recording and began to reevaluate their assumptions about the small, aggressive species from the third planet of an unremarkable star. Some decided to seek alliance with humanity. Others began making plans to approach human space with much more caution. But all of them remembered the day the humans stopped laughing back and started teaching lessons instead. The Terra Invicta disappeared into hyperspace, returning to whatever secret facility had built it. But its message remained, echoing across the galaxy like a warning bell. Humanity was not as helpless as it appeared, and anyone who forgot that fact would learn the lesson the Zeparian hegemony had learned the hard way. The space around New Geneva was quiet now, but it was the quiet that comes after a storm. Debris from 43 alien warships drifted through the asteroid field like metallic snow. The beautiful Zahirian vessels that had entered the system with such confidence were now nothing more than scrap metal floating in the void. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UA's Defiant, still trying to process what she had witnessed. The Terra Invicta had departed as suddenly as it had arrived, disappearing into hyperspace and leaving behind only questions and the scattered remains of an alien fleet. "Captain," Lieutenant Torres called from his station, "we're receiving a priority transmission from New Geneva. Governor Martinez wants to speak with you." Sarah nodded. She had been expecting this call. "Put him through." Governor Martinez appeared on the screen, his face showing a mixture of relief and confusion. He was a small man with gray hair and kind eyes, but right now those eyes were wide with disbelief. "Sarah, what the hell just happened up there?" "Our orbital sensors detected massive energy discharges, and then nothing. Are we safe?" "We're safe, Governor. The Zeparian fleet has been dealt with." "Dealt with how?" "Our intelligence said they had technology far superior to ours. Your 12 ships couldn't possibly have Sarah held up a hand." "Governor, what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels. The Zeparian fleet was destroyed by a single human vessel called the Terra Invicta, a ship that until today I didn't know existed." Governor Martinez stared at her for a long moment. A single ship destroyed 43 alien warships. "I saw it with my own eyes. Governor, there are things about our military capabilities that even I didn't know. Things that High Command has kept secret for very good reasons." The governor leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his gray hair. "Sarah, I need you to come down to the planet as soon as possible. We need to discuss what this means for our colony. If humanity has ships like this Terra Invicta, why were we told we were on our own out here?" "I don't have all the answers, Governor, but I'll be down as soon as my ship is secure." The transmission ended, leaving Sarah alone with her thoughts around her. The bridge crew was working to assess damage and coordinate with the 2 other surviving ships. The Yorktown and the Nairobi were both badly damaged but still operational. Captain Williams contacted her from the Yorktown. "Sarah, my engineer, wants to examine some of the Zephyrian debris. He thinks we might be able to learn something from their technology." "Good idea, but be careful out there. We don't know if any of their ships have self-destruct mechanisms." "Understood. Sarah, I have to ask, did you know about that ship, the Terra Invicta?" Sarah was quiet for a moment. "I knew something was out there, Marcus. Emergency Protocol 7 isn't just a distress call. It's a signal that tells Command the situation is desperate enough to reveal assets that are supposed to stay hidden. Assets like 15 kilometers long warships, among other things." "Yes." Captain Williams was silent for a long moment. "How many more ships like that do we have?" "I don't know, and I'm not sure I want to know." While the human ships worked to secure the system, the galaxy was already learning about the battle. News of the Zephyrian fleet destruction spread through the hyperspace communication networks faster than any ship could travel. On the homeworld of the Alaran Republic, President Kellix received the report with growing concern. The Altarians had been planning their own expansion into human space, confident that the young species would be easily overwhelmed by superior numbers. "Are you certain this report is accurate?" Kellix asked her military advisor. "Yes, Madam President. We have confirmation from 3 independent sources. The entire Zephyrian battle fleet was destroyed by a single human vessel." Kell studied the tactical analysis on her screen. The Zephyrians had possessed technology that the Altarians respected, if not feared. "If humans could destroy such a fleet so easily, cancel Operation Starburst," she ordered. "All expansion into human territory is suspended indefinitely." "Madam President, our military leaders believe we could still overwhelm human defenses with sufficient numbers." Kellix's expression was grim. "General, if the humans have one ship like this Terra Invicta, they might have others. Until we know more about their true capabilities, we approach human space with extreme caution." Similar conversations were taking place across the galaxy. The hegemonic council of the Drari Empire called an emergency session. The Stellar Federation began reassessing their intelligence on human military strength. Even the ancient and powerful Voran Collective took notice. Back in the New Geneva system, Captain Sarah Chen was dealing with more immediate concerns. Ships from a dozen different species had arrived to observe the aftermath of the battle. Most claimed to be news vessels or scientific expeditions. but Sarah recognized military sensors when she saw them. Captain Torres reported the Centaurian news ship wants an interview. They're offering significant payment for exclusive footage of the battle. Denied. All requests for information are to be referred to Earth Command. A new contact appeared on the sensors, and this one made Sarah's blood run cold. It was a Zapirian ship, but not a warship. The vessel was sleek and fast, designed for reconnaissance and communication. Unknown Zapirian vessel. This is Captain Chen of the UES Defiant. State your purpose in this system. The response came quickly. The voice filled with respect that had been absent from earlier Zapirian communications. Captain Chen, this is Diplomat Kexar of the Zapirian hegemony. I come under a flag of truce to discuss terms of accommodation with your government. Sarah almost left. Hours ago, the Zirians had been demanding humanity's surrender. Now they wanted to talk terms. Diplomat Kexar, you'll need to contact Earth Command directly. I'm not authorized to conduct diplomatic negotiations. Of course, Captain. But before I do, I must ask, how many ships like the Terra Invicta does your species possess? Sarah considered her answer carefully. The truth was she didn't know, but maybe that uncertainty could work in humanity's favor. Diplomat, that's classified information. But I will tell you this, the Terra Invicta is not unique. The lie came easily, and Sarah felt no guilt about it. Let the Zephyrians wonder. Let them lose sleep thinking about how many more ships like the Terra Invicta might be hidden in human space. I understand, Captain. Thank you for your time. As the diplomatic ship departed, Sarah received a priority transmission from Earth. Admiral Hassan appeared on the screen, looking more tired than she had ever seen him. Sarah, excellent work out there. Your report has been forwarded to the highest levels of government. Admiral, I need to know how many more ships like the Terra Invicta do we have? Hassan was quiet for a long moment. Sarah, what I'm about to tell you cannot leave this conversation. The Terra Invicta is part of a classified program called Project Aegis. We have 7 ships like her built in complete secrecy over the past 20 years. Sarah felt her jaw drop. 7 ships like the Terra Invicta meant humanity had enough firepower to take on any known alien fleet. Admiral, why keep them secret? With ships like that, we could have prevented conflicts like this one. Sarah, think about what you just saw. One ship destroyed an entire alien battle fleet in minutes. If the galaxy knew we had 7 such vessels, how do you think they would react? Sarah considered this. The other species were already nervous about human expansion. If they knew humanity possessed such overwhelming military power, they'd unite against us. She realized every major power in the galaxy would see us as an existential threat. Exactly. The Terra Invicta and her sister ships are our insurance policy. They exist to protect humanity if we're ever faced with extinction. Today was the first time we've had to use one, and now that secret is out. Admiral Hassan nodded grimly. Now we have to decide how much of the truth to reveal. The galaxy knows we have at least 1 ship like the Terra Invicta. They don't know about the other 6. Admiral, what about the crews of these ships? Where do they come from? Volunteers from the best of our military. People who understand that their service must remain secret, even from their own families. Commander Vasquez and her crew have been living in isolation for 3 years, training for a day like today. Sarah thought about the professionalism she had heard in Commander Vasquez's voice, the calm certainty with which she had destroyed an entire alien fleet. It took a special kind of person to live with that responsibility. Admiral, what happens now? Now we see how the galaxy reacts. Some species will want to make friends with us. Others will start planning ways to neutralize our advantage before we can use it again. The next few months will determine whether today's victory leads to peace or a much larger war. The transmission ended, leaving Sarah with more questions than answers. She looked out at the debris field that had been the Zephyrian fleet. Each piece of wreckage represented lives lost and families destroyed. War was never clean, no matter how advanced the weapons. But she also thought about the 3 million people living peacefully on New Geneva. Children playing in parks, families building new lives. Scientists and artists and teachers creating something beautiful in the darkness between the stars. They were alive because humanity had built ships like the Terra Invicta. Captain Torres called. We're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's Governor Martinez. Sarah straightened in her chair. Put him through. The governor appeared on screen, but he wasn't alone. Behind him stood representatives from every major community on New Geneva. Farmers, factory workers, teachers, doctors, ordinary people whose lives had been saved by extraordinary events. Captain Chen, Governor Martinez said, "The people of New Geneva want to thank you and your crews. We know you lost good people today protecting us." Sarah nodded. "They died doing their duty, Governor, protecting human lives and human freedom. Captain, we also want you to know that we voted to name our capital city Chen, in honor of what you did here today." Sarah felt tears threatening to spill from her eyes. "Governor, that's very generous. But there are 8 ships whose names should be remembered, not just mine. Then we'll name 8 districts after the ships we lost. The Berlin district, the Stockholm district, all of them. Future generations will remember the price of our freedom." As the transmission ended, Sarah looked around her bridge. Her crew was smiling despite their exhaustion and grief. They had done something important here. They had shown the galaxy that humanity would not be intimidated or conquered. But they had also revealed a secret that could change the balance of power among the stars. The Terra Invicta was gone, but its legacy remained. Every alien government was now reassessing their relationship with humanity. Some would seek friendship, others would plot revenge, and somewhere in the darkness between the stars, 6 more ships like the Terra Invicta waited for the day they might be needed. Sarah looked out at the stars and wondered what that day would bring. But for now, New Geneva was safe, and humanity had earned the respect of the galaxy the hard way. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human strength had begun. 6 months after the Battle of New Geneva, the galaxy was a different place. The destruction of the Zephyrian fleet had sent shockwaves through every major civilization, changing the balance of power that had existed for centuries. Captain Sarah Chen now wore the stars of an admiral on her uniform. She sat in her office aboard the new U.S. Victory, a heavy cruiser stationed at New Geneva as part of the expanded human defense fleet. Through her window, she could see the construction ships building new orbital platforms around the colony world. "Admiral," her aide announced, "the diplomatic delegation from the Altarian Republic has arrived. They're requesting an audience." Sarah nodded. This was the 3rd diplomatic mission to arrive this week. Ever since the Terra Invicta had demonstrated humanity's hidden strength, every major power wanted to establish better relations with Earth. "Send them to Conference Room 2. I'll be there shortly." As she walked through the corridors of her ship, Sarah reflected on how much had changed. The Victory was twice the size of her old command, the Defiant, and it bristled with weapons technology that had been developed in the wake of the Zahirian conflict. Humanity was no longer pretending to be weak. The Altarian delegation was waiting when she arrived. President Kelix herself had come to New Geneva, along with her top military advisors and trade representatives. The woman who had once planned to invade human space now sat respectfully at the conference table. "Admiral Chen," President Kelix began, "thank you for agreeing to meet with us. The Altarian Republic wishes to propose a new trade agreement with humanity." Sarah studied the alien leader. Kelix was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large black eyes. Her species had controlled a dozen star systems for over 2 centuries, but now they were seeking human friendship. "Madam President, I understand your previous trade proposals offered humanity junior partnership status in your economic zone. I'm curious what has changed." Kel shifted uncomfortably in her chair. "Admiral, recent events have made us realize that we may have underestimated humanity's position in the galaxy. We would now like to propose a partnership of equals." "Recent events?" Sarah repeated. "You mean the destruction of the Zephyrian fleet?" "Among other things, yes, Admiral, if I may speak plainly." Sarah nodded. The galaxy believed humans were a young species with primitive technology. Ships like the Terra Invicta have changed that perception. We now understand that humanity has been modest about its capabilities. Sarah smiled slightly. The truth was more complex than Kelix knew. The Terra Invicta and her sister ships represented humanity's most advanced technology, built in secret over decades. But the galaxy didn't need to know that. "Madam President, humanity has always believed in being prepared for the unexpected. We learned early that the universe can be a dangerous place." "Indeed, Admiral. Our intelligence services have been analyzing the footage from your battle with the Zephyrians. We're particularly interested in the gravity weapons your ship deployed. Sarah's expression didn't change, but internally, she was alert. The gravity weapons were one of humanity's most closely guarded secrets. That's classified technology, Madam President. Of course. But we would be very interested in discussing a technology exchange program. The Altarian Republic has made significant advances in faster-than-light communication. Now Sarah was interested. Instantaneous communication across interstellar distances would be incredibly valuable for coordinating human colonies and fleets. That would be worth discussing. But any technology exchange would need to be approved by Earth Command. President Kellix nodded eagerly. Naturally, we're prepared to send a full diplomatic mission to Earth to begin formal negotiations. As the meeting continued, Sarah's personal communicator chimed with an urgent message. She glanced at it discreetly and felt her blood run cold. The message was from Admiral Hassan. Priority Alpha, new situation developing. Report to secure communication room immediately. Sarah wrapped up the meeting as quickly as possible and made her way to the ship's most secure communication center. When Admiral Hassan appeared on the screen, his expression was grim. Sarah, we have a problem. 3 hours ago, a human merchant ship was attacked in the Kepler-186 system. The attackers were not Cephrian. Who were they? Unknown. But they used weapons technology we've never seen before. The merchant ship was completely destroyed, but they managed to send a distress signal before they died. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Admiral, do we think this is retaliation for New Geneva? It's possible. Or it could be someone testing our defenses to see if the Terra Invicta was a one-time surprise. Either way, we need to respond. What are your orders, sir? Admiral Hassan was quiet for a moment. Sarah, I'm authorizing the deployment of the UE's Retribution to your sector. She's one of the Terra Invicta's sister ships. Sarah nodded. The Retribution was one of the 7 ships in Project Aegis, humanity's ultimate deterrent. If the aliens wanted to test human resolve again, they were about to get another lesson. Admiral, what about maintaining secrecy? Deploying a second ship like the Terra Invicta will confirm that we have more than one. The secret was compromised the moment we used the Terra Invicta at New Geneva. Now we have to decide whether to reveal our full strength or let our enemies pick us off one colony at a time. Sarah understood. The galaxy now knew humanity was stronger than it appeared, but they didn't know how much stronger. Using a second Aegis-class ship would answer that question partially. Sir, has there been any response from the Zepyrian government about the fleet we destroyed? Actually, yes. That's the other thing I needed to tell you. The Zepyrian hegemony has formally requested a peace treaty with humanity. They're offering to cede 3 star systems as reparations for their attack. Sarah was stunned. The Zepyrians were one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. For them to offer such terms meant they were truly afraid of humanity's capabilities. Admiral, are we going to accept? That's being debated at the highest levels. Some in the government want to push for more concessions, while we have the advantage. Others worry that being too aggressive will unite other species against us. Sarah understood the dilemma. Humanity was in a unique position. They were strong enough to demand respect, but still outnumbered by the other galactic civilizations. What about the unknown attackers? That's your priority now, Sarah. Find out who they are and what they want. And if they're planning more attacks on human shipping, we'll stop them, sir. I know you will. The Retribution will arrive in your sector in 72 hours. Her captain is Commander James Walsh. You'll have operational command of both ships. The transmission ended, leaving Sarah alone with her thoughts. She had gone from commanding a single patrol ship to leading a force that could destroy entire alien fleets. The responsibility was overwhelming. Her aide knocked on the door. Admiral, there's a priority transmission from the merchant ship Prosperity. They're reporting contact with unknown vessels in the Giza 6867 system. Sarah stood immediately. Battle stations. Set course for Gleaser 667. Maximum speed. As the Victory accelerated toward the jump point, Sarah reviewed what they knew about the unknown attackers. The evidence was limited. Energy weapon signatures that didn't match any known species, and ship designs that were completely foreign. The jump to hyperspace felt different now that she commanded a heavy cruiser instead of a destroyer. The Victory was built for war, with armor thick enough to stop most alien weapons, and guns powerful enough to crack small moons. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Glia 667 system to find chaos. The merchant ship Prosperity was under attack by 3 unknown vessels. The alien ships were sleek and organic-looking, almost like living creatures swimming through space. Unknown vessels. This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Navy. Cease your attack immediately and identify yourselves. The response came in a voice that sounded like music mixed with static. Human ship. You are not welcome in this region of space. Your species has upset the balance of power. You must be corrected. Sarah felt her jaw tighten. Another species that thought humanity needed to be put in its place. Unknown vessels withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Your threats are meaningless, primitive. We are the Ethereal Collective, and we have studied your encounter with the Zephyrians. One large ship cannot defeat our entire fleet. Sarah looked at her tactical display. The 3 alien ships were indeed impressive, larger than anything in the Zephyrian fleet, and armed with weapons that seemed to bend space itself. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, I'm detecting more ships dropping out of hyperspace. 37 contacts and counting. Sarah smiled grimly. The Ethereals had brought a fleet to deal with 1 human ship. They had learned from the Zephyrian mistake, or so they thought. Open a channel to the Prosperity, she ordered. Captain Morrison, get your ship to minimum safe distance. Things are about to get interesting. The merchant captain's response was shaky with fear. Admiral, there are 40 of them now. We need to retreat. Negative, Captain. Stay clear, but don't run. You're about to see why humans don't stay scared for long. Sarah opened a channel to Earth Command. This is Admiral Chen. I'm authorizing Emergency Protocol 7. Repeat. Emergency Protocol 7. The response came within minutes. Space tore open at the edge of the system, and the UES Retribution emerged from hyperspace. The massive ship was identical to the Terra Invicta in size and firepower, its black hull bristling with weapons. Commander Walsh's voice came over the communication system. Admiral Chen, this is Commander Walsh of the UES Retribution. We received your signal. What's the situation? 40 alien ships calling themselves the Ethereal Collective. They think they've learned from the Zephyrian mistake. Have they now? Well, let's educate them properly. The Ethereal fleet was already reacting to the arrival of the second massive human ship. Their perfect formation wavered as ship captains tried to process what they were seeing. The Ethereal commander's musical voice carried a note of concern now. Impossible. Our intelligence indicated humans possessed only 1 ship of this class. Sarah opened a channel to the alien fleet. Your intelligence was incomplete. This is Admiral Chen. To all ethereal vessels, you have 30 seconds to withdraw before we demonstrate why attacking human civilians is a very bad idea. You cannot defeat our entire fleet with 2 ships, no matter how large. Sarah looked at Commander Walsh's image on her screen. The other captain nodded slightly. All ethereal vessels, Sarah broadcast. You were warned. What happened next was not a battle. It was a demonstration of overwhelming technological superiority. The Retribution and the Victory, working in perfect coordination, began systematically destroying the ethereal fleet. The alien ships were fast, and their weapons were powerful, but they had made the same mistake as the Zephyrians. They had assumed that size and numbers were more important than technology and tactics. Human railguns fired projectiles that could punch through multiple alien ships in a single shot. Gravity weapons twisted space itself, crushing enemy vessels like tin cans. Missile swarms guided by artificial intelligence sought out the most vulnerable points on each target. Within 20 minutes, the ethereal fleet was reduced to debris. Not a single human ship had taken significant damage. The last ethereal vessel sent a desperate transmission. Please, we surrender. We were wrong to attack your people. Sarah considered the request. Unlike the Zephyrians, these aliens had at least tried to surrender before complete annihilation. Unknown vessel. You will return to your space immediately. You will inform your government that human shipping is under the protection of the United Earth Navy. Any future attacks on our people will result in the complete destruction of your fleets. Understood. We will carry your message to the collective. The surviving alien ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the humans alone with their victory and another field of debris. Commander Walsh opened a communication channel. Admiral, that was efficiently done. I doubt the Ethereals will be testing us again anytime soon. Let's hope not. But I have a feeling word is going to spread about this engagement too. Sarah was right. Within days, news of the second battle reached every major civilization in the galaxy. The destruction of 2 alien fleets by human vessels sent a clear message. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The Drari Empire immediately sent ambassadors offering a mutual defense pact. The Stellar Federation proposed a joint research agreement. Even the ancient Voran Collective requested formal diplomatic contact for the first time in centuries. But the most significant response came from an unexpected source. 3 weeks after the Battle of Gleason 67, Sarah received a priority transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Hassan appeared on the screen with an expression she had never seen before. He looked almost excited. "Sarah, you're not going to believe this. We just received a communication from the Galactic Council." Sarah was stunned. The Galactic Council was a mythical organization, spoken of in whispers by the older civilizations. Most humans thought it was just a legend. "Sir, the Council is real." "Apparently so, and they want to meet with representatives of humanity." "Sarah, they're offering us a seat at the table." Sarah understood what this meant. A seat on the Galactic Council would make humanity one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. It would give them a voice in decisions that affected billions of lives. What changed their mind? Admiral Hassan smiled. "Sarah, for 3,000 years, the Council has been controlled by the same 5 species. They made the rules, and everyone else followed them. But now, there's a new power in the galaxy, one that can destroy entire fleets with just 2 ships. And they're afraid we might use that power against them." "Exactly. They'd rather have us inside the tent than outside it." Sarah thought about the journey that had brought them to this point. It had started with a desperate defense of a human colony, and ended with humanity being invited to join the galaxy's most exclusive club. "Admiral, what about the other Aegis-class ships? Do they know about all 7? "They suspect, but they don't know for certain. Let's keep it that way for now. The galaxy is still adjusting to the idea that humans are more than they appear to be." As the transmission ended, Sarah looked out at the stars. 6 months ago, humanity had been seen as a young species with primitive technology. Now they were being invited to help rule the galaxy. The transformation was incredible, but Sarah knew it had come at a cost. The secrecy that had protected humanity was gone. The galaxy now knew they were dangerous, which meant some species would always see them as a threat. But they had also earned something invaluable: respect. No longer would alien empires look at human space and see easy conquest. Now they saw a civilization capable of building ships that could end wars in minutes. Sarah opened a channel to all human ships in the sector. "This is Admiral Chen to all vessels. Today marks a new chapter in human history. We've gone from being the underdogs to being recognized as one of the galaxy's major powers." She paused, thinking about the crews who had died defending New Geneva and all the challenges that lay ahead. But with great power comes great responsibility. The galaxy is watching us now, waiting to see what kind of civilization we really are. Let's make sure we're worthy of the respect we've earned. As the human fleet continued its patrol of the sector, Sarah reflected on the lessons of the past 6 months. The galaxy had learned that humanity was stronger than it appeared. But perhaps more importantly, humanity had learned that sometimes the only way to keep the peace was to be prepared for war. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human strength had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.